So,
Just
I think it's going.
it is.
Okay, we can edit that out later, but we won't. So what we're talking about today is gut health and and probiotics, and the two are very closely related. What I'm trying to explain in 3 minutes or less is something that I've kind of gleaned over the last 3 years of working with autoimmune paleo and starting to incorporate more and more probiotic prescription of probiotics to try and restore gut health. But what really needs to be understood is how that works, because for most people, when they first see what a paleo diet entails, there's a lot of preconceptions. There's the idea that, oh my goodness, I'm going to have to eat eggs and bacon every morning, and I don't want to do that, and that's wrong. And then there's also the idea that when we start talking about probiotics, people are going to be eating, rotten vegetables that have been left in a jar forever, and it's disgusting, and that's also not correct. So the first thing I would say is that it's important to understand that paleo nutrition is simply a template, and all it's saying is that we should try to return to foods that we were eating before there was an industrial and an agricultural revolution. So that doesn't necessarily mean you need to eat meat 3 times a day. For a caveman, no offense to any cavemen out there, to a Paleolithic man, there you go. For him to actually find 3 different sources of meat every single day he would have been a very popular fella in his tribe or whatnot, because his hunting skills would be unbelievable. We've got guys nowadays that go out with a rifle and spend 10 days out there and can't find one. So if you can imagine somebody with a spear managing to take down 3 animals per day and eat them all, that would be amazing. So that's not actually how most Paleolithic people ate. There was a lot more variety in their diets, and meat can be part of a diet, a Paleolithic diet, but it probably needs to be at certain points. But there's other versions that can be a lot more palatable. So if that's one of the reservations you have, then let it go. That's a preconceived notion. It's not correct. When we get into paleo, though, we see that people have a lot of health problems resulting from what we call autoimmune conditions. And an autoimmune condition is just simply when your body is attacking itself, or it's attacking things within your body, and it's wreaking havoc on the way your systems function. This can display itself as ulcerative colitis, as rheumatoid arthritis, as multiple sclerosis, as a form of cancer, as diabetes. All sorts of things could be related to the fact that you're eating foods that your body is not able to properly process. So when we first start working with someone with that type of a situation, we usually have to prescribe a diet that's very restrictive. And this is only for a short period of time. And the reason why is because the first thing we're going to try to fix is called the gut. And the gut is the bouncer for your body. When foods come in and attempt to enter the rest of your body, the gut is the part that says, no, you don't belong here and you need to leave. Or, come on in, the party's just started, where have you been? So it's important to understand that's what the gut's function is. The other thing is that foods need to remain in the stomach and then in the gut for a period of time to be broken down into their constituent parts that can be more aptly digested by the small intestine and the large intestine. So if the gut has holes in it and is literally not working the way it's supposed to, a lot of times foods that wouldn't have irritated a normally healthy person could be very problematic for someone that's got an autoimmune condition. And this is why we need to have a very strict diet when we start. We need to only feed that person foods that aren't going to cause any problems at all, because if we do feed them those foods, they're not going to improve their health. But the other thing that we do in that introductory period is we start to introduce probiotics. And probiotics are literally the types of, they're good bouncers. They're going to go into your gut. They're going to repopulate your gut with the right kind of bacteria. The gut has about 10 times the amount of bacteria as the rest of your body. And the bacteria is how the gut works. It literally uses the bacteria to either allow or prevent foods from passing through, and it also uses them to break those foods down. So good bacteria equals good digestion, and that's why we prescribe probiotics. Now, unfortunately, probiotics can be unpalatable. Good examples of probiotics would be kefir, sauerkraut, kimchi, any lacto-fermented vegetables, and I can't think of any off the top of my head. Why are you moving your hands?
Because it's hard.
Oh, so my cameraman's getting tired. And initially, especially if your gut is full of unhealthy bacteria, these foods are going to taste gross. Sorry. But what's nice about them is, hey, they're low fat and they're low carb. They basically don't have any of what you'd conventionally consider nutrients. I'm sorry, but a guy just biked by with the most ridiculous thing on I've ever seen. I just had to comment on that. Okay, so, sorry, that's the ADD kicking in. But they basically are just full of bacteria that's going to positively influence what's going on in your gut. And the nice thing is after about a week of, let's keep rolling, we don't want to stop. After a week of eating these foods, they're literally going to go into your gut and they're going to change your taste buds, because your taste buds are connected to your gut, as is your brain. I just recently put up an article about how the foods that you eat, through the connection between your gut and your brain called the vagus nerve, those foods can totally change how you react to stress. So not only do you feel like eating the foods you need to eat more often when you start eating probiotics, but you deal with stress is better. And if anybody's ever noticed, when you're under stress, you tend to crave bad foods. It works the same way. If you have unhealthy bacteria and you get placed under stress, you crave more unhealthy foods. If you have healthy bacteria and you encounter stress, you manage the stress more effectively. There's less of a response from cortisol, and you crave healthy foods. So it doesn't break you down as it does if you're chronically overstressed as part of your autoimmune condition. So and the good news is that while you're going to have to follow a pretty restrictive diet for the first couple of weeks, once we restore that gut health, then we can start to reintroduce foods and see if they are tolerated by your new healthy digestive system. And so I guess my long-winded point of that was, when you're first facing this strict diet prescription, you need to understand it's a short-term thing that you're going to need to do, and in the long run, almost 90% of the foods that you're currently being told you can't eat, you'll be able to reintroduce, because your gut will work much more effectively. It'll break foods down in a healthier way. And the neat thing is that a lot of the foods that you wish you didn't like to eat, you won't want to eat anymore. So it's really a win-win. So that's a quick summary of a PhD's worth of research on how the gut works without using too many 12-syllable words. I am putting an article together that actually has all the references for those of you out there that are like, that's really interesting theories, but can you prove them? Yes, I can. And if you like that, keep checking us out. All right, have a good day. Bye. Does that